Yes. Ever find yourself just staring into space? No thought whatsoever in your mind? Yeah, that's what I call brain fog. I'm sure many of you have experienced that many times. And usually we think of it as, ooh, we're going to have an unproductive day. But I'm going to turn that in around and into being very productive by designing a quilt called brain fog. So, welcome everyone to Stitching in the Cottage. I'm Jean. Let me see who we have with us this morning. First of all, before we get started, we have Vicky, Danielle, and Carol, and a New York beauty, all who are channel members and supporters. We also have Kelly here this morning. Welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining me this fine morning. Well, maybe it's not so fine when you started, totally staring into space in a complete and total brain fog, but I'm going to make it a better day and show you how maybe you can too when you experience those days of you just yeah, sitting there and you catch yourself and there's nothing. But so this is not what I intended to be working on this Friday morning. I was actually going to be working on this Bargello flag that I have all cut out and ready to go, but we have totally changed directions and I am going to take you along on my process of beginning to design a quilt from a blank slate. Of course, we don't have a blank slate in front of us right now, but you'll get the idea of what I mean. Hello, Mary and Diane. It is great to see you also this morning. Awesome to have you all joining in. But as you see in front of me, these are some of the things that I pull just to begin with, which the first thing is always my pad of graph paper, because I start off every quilt design that I do with my graph pad. I do have quilting software, but I always do it by hand. Then I pull out the software and use it to help me after all the thoughts have been put down on paper. And Kelly says hi again. She was here before and then had to ferret out. That's all right. Kind of leads right into that brain fog thing. Now I'm here, now I'm not. But so we are going to, oh no, I see that must have had some bad weather in Michigan, according to some of the things going on in the chat. But yeah, prayers for everybody that may have been in the path of that storm. So, and Joe is here this morning, Vintage Style by Joe. Welcome to you also. And Kelly says it's a beautiful day in Fraser Valley. The sun is shining right here and outside the cottage in Ohio this morning also, and we will hope that it remains that way. But let's get into the process of how I design a quilt. So first, I have my title at the top of my graph paper called Brain Fog. And of course, it says designed by Jean of Kept in Stitches. I have an approximate size in mind, which I'm kind of going with something right around 60 by 72. That's just to get an idea kind of what direction I'm going in size. That doesn't mean that that can't change as I go along, but those are the important things to start with. And then I just have my blank rectangle sectioned off on my graph paper for me to decide to start throwing my thoughts and ideas on there. So good morning, June. It is also great to see you this morning. And Shirley with Around to It is also here this morning. She will be lurking. And Jim is here this morning. Good morning. Have missed you, Jim. It's been a while since I've seen you in the chat. Hope you are doing all right. And if you have any questions for me as I am going through this, it would really help if you would tag me in the comments by putting the @ kept in stitches, and that will highlight that so I will see it and not miss it as easily as the chat is running through. And I am also looking down and looking up and to the side and everything and working as we go. That helps a lot. So I have pulled a few things because of course, when that little light bulb goes off in the mind, even when it's during a brain fog, there's always a central theme, an idea that pops to mind. And with that brain fog, I immediately knew that I wanted something for a background to be working on. And I happen to have this collection. I forget the name of it, but I know it is the black and white um, Tula Pink um, collection. I have some of the fat quarters from that collection, and I pulled out, because I didn't think there were enough of the black in there, some other black fat quarters to go with that. And that is what I am thinking is going to be the background base for this quilt. And then I'm not one that uses Tula Pink a lot. I just happen to have some in my stash, so I pulled that out. But I also have this fat quarter collection that is the Tula Pink Beasties fat quarters. And I thought that would add some awesome color with the way my mind is thinking on the top of that black and white, possibly might throw some grays in there, we'll see, background. And then I know that I want to throw in some solids along with all those bright colors. So I have this Kona cotton charm pack that is all different solids in there, and that should work very well in this process as well. And because I intend for this quilt to be a total mismatch of whatever comes up in the brain fog, keep getting back to that brain fog, I am going to be doing a lot of things not conventional. It will be probably a lot of collage type work on this, a lot of handwork on it, things that just don't go together and are random. So it will be probably a combination of some slow stitch on there as well. I've picked up out of my stash a bunch of black and gray ribbon type trims and stuff that may get thrown in there in some way. I know that I want flying geese. I happen to have some quilt block foundation paper that I have never used. That is for 1.5 by 3.5 flying geese paper piece. So I may use that because I know I want those kind of randomly going through the quilt, bringing the direction of the idea of the brain fog into that, kind of floating out there in space. But let me see, make sure that I haven't missed anything here. Kathy is here from Kathy's Quilts and Crafts. And Judy is here also. Whoop, welcome to you, Judy. And I don't think I have missed anyone else I have seen. So then my other thoughts, and of course, before I forget, in this little pretty, fake book that sits on my shelf is where when I am cutting fabrics for other things, because I do a lot of slow stitch and that type of thing, I love words to pop up in different places. So when I'm cutting selvages off, if I notice that there is part of a word or something that I might use on that, I save those. Like this one, I'm probably not going to use the by Joanna Figueroa, but it has the word stars on it also. And I may use that word stars. There are other, just all kinds of different words that pop up. The created by, would be something that would be used. Brothers, textiles, stuff like that, but all kinds of different words are in here. So I have those to pull from also while I am thinking and going through. And I know that I have other in other places also. So that is set aside to pull from. And then because it is going to be a random mismatch. Good morning, Terry. It is great to see you this morning also. Um, because it's going to be a mismatch of stuff, I have some templates that I usually use for hand piecing and stuff, and I'm going to make use of those, which I have the Daisy Do templates from Jen Kingwell. So I may be using either part in full, which that are these little templates. I will possibly be using some of those either in the full flower petal that they are meant to be, or just pieces and parts of it randomly thrown out throughout the quilt. Um, yeah, there's just all sorts of ideas that just kind of start popping up and flowing through the mind at the time. Those all come from this awesome pattern that I will be doing with Tilda fabrics at one point in time, totally piecing by hand. That's why I happen to have that on hand. I'm running out of room here. And then, of course, you remember when I was showing you how I, and it is in here, do the grandmother's flower garden with the hand piecing. I plan on also using that template and in some way incorporating some of that into this quilt, but using these fabrics. So I have pulled all that. I have decided that this box right here only has that part for the grandmother's flower garden piecing in it right now, and the the stamp pad for that. So I am going to be throwing all this stuff that I have ideas for this quilt in that container, keeping it all in there so I know where everything is that I intend on using on that. So keeping it all in one place, not having to look all over and go, now, where did I put that? Where did I put that? Where did I put that? And of course, I also have my trusty little ruler here for while I am planning. Let me see. Are you still doing the move, Jean? Yes, I am. That is going to be probably most of the summer long process because I have organized the fabrics and all of that and the projects in here. There will be a lot of things that I have to wait until I can move the long arm out of here, Terry. And to do that, I have to get everything ready in my husband's workshop first, which that will entail winterizing it, organizing and going through everything that is out there, selling some of his major work tools because it is his workshop. He does have large, expensive work carpentry type tools that are out there. And so I have to do all that. Then it will have to be insulated. It will have to be drywalled or something like that. I will need to add on the sides what I figure that I can and still have room to get around the long arm, some shelving systems and that type of thing before I can start moving the long arm and some of the excess overflow storage into the workshop. But yes, that process is still taking place and it is going to take a while to finish. Jim says, I love the idea of saving select words and phrases from the salvage. Yes, I also collect fabrics that have words on them. So like that for, and I may have to find and see what some of those that I may have that are in black and white to actually add in that background also. See, the mind is always going and adding to it when you are in the creative process, which it is ironic, I guess, that you can go from a complete blank brain fog to all of a sudden creative mode and just have all the ideas and everything flowing. Yes, I know I have a strange mind. It works in a very strange way. But You are taking the long arm out of there or just moving it around. I am taking the long arm out of the stitching cottage and it will go in my husband's workshop instead that he is no longer able to use. It was also built by the Amish. He had that before I had the stitching cottage, but he is not able to use the workshop anymore. It doesn't make sense for it to sit there not being used, so it is going to be converted a little bit. But yes, going to be quite the process. And good morning to you, Teresa Louise. Great to see you also this morning. And Danielle says that's going to be gorgeous, Mama Jean. Thank you. I hope it will. It will be interesting. Let's say that. But it will be quite the process and yeah, a conglomerate of different ideas and methods and just yeah, totally random, thrown on a background and creating and adding to it as I go. But I love the way Lori Clark always says, hi, Jean, hi, chatters. It's Friday. Yahoo. Yes, it is. But let me see. What else do we hey kitty cat and everyone and now you don't see me. Okay. Take care, Mike. I think that means you are lurking. But thank you for popping in. Okay, which I don't think I said hello to you, Lori. Welcome to you. I just realized that I was talking to you as if you'd been here, but you just popped in. So thank you for joining also. But so, whoops. Um, yeah, so the idea so far that I have is that the flying geese will be out of the solid colors and it will they will not be pieced in a conventional manner. Let's put it that way. Some of them may have to be appliqued down by hand. I do not do machine applique. Not that I haven't done machine applique, but it's not my preference. And most of this will probably be done by hand. It'll just be easier because the way my mind is going, it's all going to be a mismatch of things thrown on there to appear like, yes, you were in a brain fog and things just started happening as you went in and out of that brain fog. The kind of things that, go on while we find ourselves sitting there staring into space. And then we come, to and go, well, where was I and what was I just thinking about? Or where did my mind go? So, and Gladys is here, the Confident Quilter. Welcome to you. And thank you for adding in all those links. Great to see that. And Mike is still there saying hello to a few people. So I will, as I go on, just as my ideas go, I will kind of be just drawing, scribbling more or less. That doesn't really mean much, but to somebody else if they saw it. But I know what I have in mind. And what I am doing now is just kind of doing they don't really look like flying geese, but I know that they are. They're just the little triangle peaks of the flying geese right now that are kind of going off in weird directions within this area right now. And right in the middle, kind of to probably give the idea of the centering, I think will probably be one of these petals. So I'm just going to kind of randomly, whoops, draw that on here too. And if you see this, this is total scribbling on here. That pencil probably isn't going to show up real good, but yes, it is just scribbling at this point to get my ideas onto the graph paper. And then I will take it and go from there. Lori says that she is lurking. I'm preparing the backyard for power spraying clean a thon. It's my favorite tool next to my sewing machine. Okay, don't go too crazy with that, Lori. Make sure you don't have that pressure turned on too hard. I've heard that you can break windows that way. It kind of scares me with that thought. But and Kelly is going to be going to grab another coffee and then get busy with her day. And Danielle says, okay, I think I got everyone. Thank you. All right. So that is what I am doing. I also will, like I can go ahead and open this now that I've been saving just for the right project. I kind of like that one right off the bat. It looks like it's got a, yeah, like an asterisk and a moon. I think there's a bird, a bird on here. There is. That's going to be great for the background. And I'll probably using quite small squares, I think. It's going to be, that will be the only thing that is traditional on it. I will probably cut squares, sew them together to make my background to build everything else off of. Not sure that striped one will get used in there, but we will keep it. We will keep it there anyway. But yeah, so these will be used as piecing together for the background that everything else is going to be built on. And that'll be fun, just randomly piecing those squares together. So that is how it will start out. And then we might as well delve into these. And if I need more, I do have a layer cake and some charm squares that are also Tula Pink. I don't have any yardage, but I do have these that I picked up just for the fun of it. And I may try to fussy cut. Yeah, there's a pretty rabbit on that one. May try to fussy cut some of the animals that are in these. We have kitty cats on this one. Oh, there's a pink rat. Okay. And this says best friend. I don't know that we want to put a best friend in a brain fog, but yeah, I will be using those and possibly there's not a lot here. I may have to pull in that the others and draw from it also, which excuse me. And while I'm thinking of that, I am going to get up real quickly. I'll be right back and I'm going to go over and grab those. Thank you for letting me do that. But while I still knew where they were, and I know that I want to go ahead and throw these in with it also. Oh, and I see that Terry says, Jean, I bet we could all shop in your cottage. You have quite the collection. Yes, you could definitely shop in my cottage. I do have a lot of fabric. I have a lot of kits. I have a lot of projects. There's a lot of thread, a lot of everything. Yeah, you could have a good time shopping in here. But these are the other collection that I have of the Tula Pink, and that's going to give me a little more options when I start doing that. So you will just I keep the ribbons that can come on all these too because they come in handy for slow stitch projects as well. I usually keep the cardboard, but you can get so many of the 5-inch square cardboard that, yeah, it's a little needless. I'll keep that just because it's got the name of the collection on there for now. Might use that somehow in there because that happens to be, and that's funny, that it's from the Daydreamer collection. Talk about brain fog, huh? Kind of ties right in there. So, and Michelle is here. Welcome to you, Michelle, as well. How are the puppies doing? The puppies are doing awesome. whip goes, which the vet just called this morning to remind us of his appointment on Monday morning for his neutering. So he will be going through that. So next week he will probably be out of sorts for a few days, but that's okay. Hopefully it will calm down some of the, as I've been calling him lately, the juvenile delinquent that is in him right now. That's the term that I've been using. But yeah, I can see a lot of random petals and parts of what is supposed to be a complete, like a grandmother's flower garden, not using the whole thing because it is the theme of brain fog. So it'll be kind of things that show where you've started something, you've gone off into that staring into space, not completed what you were doing, and come back with a completely, totally different thought in mind. That is where my mind is going while I am designing this quilt. So it is going to be without using a collage. I have not done a collage yet. I'm thinking that it's not going to be like a collage, but collage-ish, if that makes any sense at all. But I just thought it would be fun to kind of sit here this morning and walk through with you how the very beginning of the design process in designing a quilt or something works in my mind. Not all of us design the same way. So this is just how my mind works. Totally different from any of you other people's minds, I am sure. We all have our ways of doing things. So that is why there is quite the collection of things around me. And who knows, while I am going through this process, some of these things may totally switch and go out another way. Who knows? It's all in the process of just getting your thoughts down and then taking it from there. And as you start working on it, you may go, that doesn't quite work. No, I think I'll switch this out. But that is how it all begins. And we all have to start somewhere. Um, and yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how this comes together. And I will pop on probably maybe with some recorded videos or whatever as I go through this process, because I don't think I want to do that many lives, and I don't want to wait and not continue on with the process while it is fresh and in my mind to wait for when I do a live. So I want to be able to do it while it is in my mind, active, so that I don't forget and don't lose the train of thought of where I was going, but working on it as the mood strikes me and hits me, which is one of the reasons that I, like so many creators, get into trouble with having so many projects going at one time, because those pink squirrels that invade the cottage, just like the brain fog, will take us away from what we are doing. We get an idea and we want to work on that idea right away. So we start something without finishing another thing. But that's okay. It's okay. Sometimes you can start something and you may never finish it. You may totally lose interest in that, and it's okay. How many times have you gone to a thrift store or a Goodwill or someplace and you have found something that someone else did not finish, and you think, oh, yeah, I'll take that home and I'll finish it. We have to leave some of that stuff for somebody else to find, right? Because there are people out there looking for that. So I don't feel bad. I figure that, yeah, at some point in time, somebody's going to have a good time with all of those projects that I started and never finished. One way of looking at it. But and Teresa says, our house is a disaster with all the traveling for Brandon's doctor's appointments. Oh, so I'll be busy cleaning today. Yes, I'm sorry that does happen. And I hope Brandon is getting better and you are finding out some things. And I know that you have not felt well either, Teresa. And so, and Lori says, Teresa, it will be rewarding when it's clean. We all hate cleaning. Yes, we do. Except sometimes it can be enjoyable in the cottage, just not in the house. But yeah, I'm finding that except you would not believe how long it took me. And it wasn't that long ago that I went over and had the demonstration on doing the grandmother's flower garden, which is normally done with EPP, and doing it by hand stitching instead. And I looked all over this morning for where I put that, because when I was doing all the reorganizing and everything, some things got put in different containers and different locations. So I was having a hard time remembering where that ended up. And it did take a while, but finally, and of course, as it always is, because why would we keep looking after we find it in the last place that we looked? That would be a little odd to keep looking after you found it, right? But I always like when we say it was in the last place I looked. But, but anyway, I was able to find it. So I have that now and won't lose it again. He had cardioversion Tuesday. So far, so good. He is tired, but his heart is beating correctly. Awesome. That is great to hear, Teresa. And we will keep both of you in our prayers, most definitely. But so I'm trying to check and see on the time, because I know I'm doing a lot of rambling this morning. And I think part of what put me in my brain fog this morning, and part of why I was just sitting there not really feeling like doing what I had planned, which can sometimes put you in that staring off into space also mode, is because I know some of you are aware that I do occasionally have episodes of uh, it's just a weird pain phenomena where I will get up and I am not able to walk. And that did happen last night when I decided, okay, it was time to wrap things up out here in the cottage. I got ready to get up out of my recliner and get Whip on his leash and go into the house, and I was not able to walk. And so I had to take a little longer and stay a little longer out in the cottage than what I had planned, because I had to wait until I was able to walk and get back into the house. And when that happens, I know that there are other things to come. And so, yes, I was just not in my normal state this morning. Probably won't be for the next several days, but life goes on. I go on. I refocus. I readapt. I turn up my coping mechanism, and I do go on. I do not let it get me down. I do not let it keep me from doing things other than walking, but there's a way around that. So anyway, that is, I'm sure, what put me, when I was sitting here getting ready for my live this morning, in that brain fog. But what a great way to pull myself out of that, by just going, ah, what a great idea. Yes, I am going to design a quilt named Brain Fog and see what I come up with. And I think and hope that the rest of you will enjoy coming along with me on this little designing episodes. There will be several of continuing on from where you saw the beginning, that all it was an idea that came out of just sitting here, and thus the new picture for the notification of the live this morning, of just kind of sitting there staring into space, you know, but and seeing it as a work in progress, and then the completion of the quilt. It's I know not all of us are ones that like to design quilts or other projects, but I do And so I will share some of that process with you, as I do in most everything that I do that has to do with my stitching world. So, one of the other things to go along with that. But the first thing that I know that I will be doing, because nothing else can really be accomplished until I have the base of the quilt made. And as I look at this, I don't know. I'm thinking, what do you think? I think I need to throw some gray in with the black and white. And we will see. There may be a splash of the whites in there, but I don't want it to be too light on the background. I want it more towards the darker side. That's why I'm going to pull these white, white ones that are reading more white and light off to the side. We'll keep this one's got some color in it. We can throw that in the background, and that one, and this one, and that one will work. And this, but you see, when I get too many of these, it's leaning more towards the light. So I think I'm going to have to pull some more blacks and actually pull some gray in with that also, to make sure it doesn't end up too light, because when you throw all these in there with it, we're getting too much on the lighter side. So that is also how it works. I want it to be more the darker side in the background, with the colors popping on top, showing how coming out of that brain fog that was in the back of the mind. And Lori says, yes, grays will look nice. That's what I was thinking too. Thank you, Teresa Louise, for the prayers also. But no, I won't say no problem. I will, I will manage, adjust, and cope like I always do. But yeah, I will be out of sorts for a few days, because I know how that works when it hits. So it will be a while. But I really do like the idea of working with all of these colors. I do have Robert Kaufman prints as well, but I think I'm going to just stick with these, because I do have some other ideas in mind for all of my Robert Kaufman um fat quarter collections. So I don't want to delve into that, but I am going to go. Well, the flag is hanging up in front of there right now. I'm just getting ready to switch quilts out inside the house. So I have in the summer I put up a lot of my Americana patriotic ones, and I have those pulled and laying around that will be going into the house, and switching out the quilts that are on display in there right now. So that flag behind me, which if I let me just, sorry, put this up just a minute so you can see that that is actually an older type flag. It is quilted by hand with a wave, so it looks like it is flowing in the wind. And then we have the table runner that is hanging up there beside it. The one right here is last year's block of the month that I designed. The one that is right behind it laying down is from a family reunion that we had one year over the 4th of July. It is a signature quilt. It has everybody's signatures on it in that quilt. And then yeah, right there, we have the little pillow that I just designed and made up the other day. And we have some of you may remember this from last year. We have my yo-yo, my flag made out of the little tiny yo-yos also. And then we have the Bargello one, which is what I was going to be working on this morning, but that is in the background there. So, and the fabric, of course, is behind those quilts that are hanging there right now. So I will go back there where my blacks and grays are, and I will pull some of the grays, because I know I don't have any in fat quarters, because I already went through that drawer. I may look and see what I have down below in my drawer that I keep smaller pieces of fabric for applique and that type of thing. Anything that's underneath a half yard, I have in a drawer also down there underneath the long arm. So I will also check back there and see what I have. And Teresa says, when I did Flutter with Lineworks, I used gray for background and it looks great, I think. Thank you. Yes, I remember you doing that one, Teresa. And Jim says, that looks awesome. Do you have a wheelchair, Jean? Do you mind letting us why that happens to you? Um, Part of it is nerve damage in my back. I also have nerve damage in my one leg. I also have psoriatic arthritis, and that is one of the things that causes. And I also am total vitamin deficient, very much so vitamin D deficient, which causes bone pain. But it's kind of an anomaly, whatever. My doctors refer to me as an alien because we don't know exactly what and everything that causes it, but I get bone crushing, breaking pain and am not able to put pressure at all on the legs, foot, ankle, or whatever that it happens in at the time. And it just comes at random on and off at times, but it usually goes through a phase. So that is kind of what happens. I do not have a wheelchair. I use a cane and I have a couple walkers that I use. I have the sit down type rolling walkers. Unfortunately, when the long arm is out of the way, the walker will fit in here, but the walker does not fit through the pathway to walk right right now. Well, the one does, and I may have to bring the smaller one out, but the other one doesn't quite fit through, so I use the cane at those times out here, but the cane is always by my chair and available. And I didn't realize, because well, I have been for a long time, but when I set this up, I actually am able, I have the desk here and the long arm that kind of works, to walk along when you're also having problems. But yeah, but it was just late at night. Otherwise, I probably would have tried to also call my husband, but I just wait until I can, very slowly, very carefully be able to get up and then walk, not well, but able to mosey back into the house or wherever I may be at the time that it hits. So yeah, there really is not a complete diagnosis for it, Teresa, that I can share with you. They still try to figure out what exactly is causing all of that. But really a conglomerate of things going on, from health issues that I have had since I was in the military. So things that happen to us sometimes can't be explained. Of course, you do what you do when you can do it. Yes. Oh gosh, I'm sorry, keeping you in prayer. Thank you. Yeah, it's just, it's hard to explain. And if it wasn't that that's what brought me to this idea of the quilt this morning, I probably wouldn't have gone into it at all, because I'm I'm not one that likes to share a lot of that stuff with others. It doesn't matter. We all have our things. So, and Elaine is here this morning also. Prayers, hope you are feeling better. Not yet. Not yet. Let's put it that way. But I will. It'll take a few days to recover when that happens. And I will mention one thing. It is also funny because Whip is always out here with me in the cottage also. And he knows. I mean, he's very young. He's a puppy yet. And he's sleeping in his bed right now. But he knew immediately that something was wrong with me. So he stays close by. He helped guide me into the house. And so he already knows and is learning and is being a very good combination emotional support and service dog. So that was very nice to at least have his companionship out here when that was going on. But it's just a little bit scary when it happens. Different thoughts go through your mind. You know how it is. You always always at times like that think the worst, but it's fun. And there is Katie joining us this morning, catching the last few minutes of the live. That is awesome. And Mike says, good whip. Yes, he's a good boy the majority of the time. Like that. Like I said, yeah, I call him that little juvenile delinquent every once in a while right now. But so on another note, says Terry, I just ordered 2 small embroidery kits to try. I did a very large one about 40 years ago and I never went back to it. We shall see. Well, that is awesome, Terry. At least you are giving it another try. And who knows? You may not, finish it either, but it's great that you are thinking outside your box and trying something different again. You may love it this time. And Judy says, we'll keep you in prayers and thoughts. He may be your medical alert dog by nature. Wow. Yes and no, it may turn into that. He did not alert. I alerted, he knew when I got up that something was wrong. He didn't let me know that something was going to be wrong before it happened. But yeah, that may change. Yeah, we learn our do's and don'ts. Even though I know my do's and don'ts doesn't mean I don't do some of those don'ts, Teresa. It's like sometimes we don't have a choice. But we kind of got off the subject of the designing of the quilt right now. Oops, and I realized that I also moved. And that's because I forgot to lower this back down. There we go. I was going to say, I kind of got off the view there of my work surface down here also, but it's cheaper than rebuilding sewing machines. Yes, that is true, Terry. I believe that could be very costly. So that's great that you're finding something else to keep you busy and still using that creative part of your brain. And so, yeah, just like even when we're in a brain fog, we can continue to be creative. So that is great. And I'm glad that this gives me something too for the next, today and maybe over the weekend to keep my mind off of some of the things going through and work in a different direction and to work through that and still bring the joy of creating into the stitching cottage while other things are going on. Where there's a will, there's a way, is what I always say. And Terry says, well, time will tell, and he can be trained to alert you down the road, especially if he is already in tune with what's going on with you. Yes, he already knows and wasn't taught. He already knows which side to walk on the leash also. So that is awesome. And he is always looking to see what direction I am going, which was not taught that he picked up on his own. So yes, he has been awesome. And Teresa says, Brandon's dog Annie knows when Brandon is not breathing right and will wake him up. If she gets too worried, she will come and get me. She learned this on her own. That is awesome. Yeah, I don't think we give our pets and our animals the credit they are due at times. They are very, very intelligent, really do pick up on things, which Stitches, which we tried it out, she knows that now if Bob falls or is down in the backyard, because they are always together, and he says, go get mommy, she immediately runs, comes to the cottage door and barks and jumps on the door. So I know that something is wrong to go out and check. So both dogs are being trained in their ways of being able to help with the things that both my husband and I go through. My little brother Whip is so smart, says Danielle. Yes, dogs are amazing. Yes, they are. And maybe we'll have to well, I think there were cats on one of these fabrics. We might have to find a way of incorporating something that has to do with a dog on this quilt. We will see what we come up on there. He may, yeah. No, just had a thought go through my mind. I don't know how I'm going to work that out, but so we won't say that one yet, but Yeah, something just went through my mind for how that may work also and be incorporated into the quilt. But I see that it is close to the hour's time. I'm sorry that I have rambled on while going through the creative process of the beginning and what leads us to deciding to design a quilt and how the process all begins. But next time that I come on and either through one of the lives or do a extra video recorded so that there are episodes ongoing of this total process of this quilt. You will see some of the things that we have been discussing, that I am talking about, that are the ideas going through my mind, already parts of that put together, and it's starting to come together a little bit at a time. So thank you all for joining me. Thank you for your prayers and your concerns. And Teresa, you and your husband, also prayers always for you and anyone else that is having any problems of any kind or anything. My prayers are always with each and every one of you as well. And Mike says, thanks for keeping him company. My pleasure, Mike. Anytime, anytime. And Teresa says, love to visit. Danielle says, take care of yourself, Mama, and everyone in the chat. So Terry says, thank you, Jean. All is good. Hope you have a wonderful day and you make progress creating your new design. Take care, everyone. Uh, I agree wholeheartedly. Enjoy your day, says Jim. Be well, have a great day. Carol's saying take care, and everyone is saying goodbye. Sending tons of hugs and prayers to everyone in need, says Danielle. Yes. And Mona did what? Just jumped on and is saying, hi, Jean and everyone. You can say bye too, Mona. We're getting ready to say our goodbyes, which we already have. So I will end with, as you always know, in the meantime, I can keep you in stitches. Bye-bye, everyone.